If you've ever predicted your friend's relationship change 6 months before it happened, and felt guilty or proud when you were right. If you've ever walked into a happy room and felt that weird, vibrating tension underneath the smiles. Or if people have accused you of being judgmental or too intense when you were just trying to be honest, you probably feel a very specific type of loneliness. Society has a word for you: difficult or oversensitive. They tell you you're projecting. They tell you to relax, stop overthinking. But you can't just go with the flow because you see the blatant elephant in the room. And what makes it worse is this: you don't want to notice these things. You'd love to be normal. You'd love to hear the words and not feel what's behind them. You'd love to believe the smile. But your brain doesn't let you. It keeps reading the subtitles everyone else misses. And Carl Jung had a warning for this. Seeing what others don't isn't just a gift. It can make you dangerous. Because once you can see the mask, you can't unsee it. And when you live in higher resolution, you start noticing things that ruin the illusion for everyone else. That's why people try to shrink you with labels like overthinking, too intense, or toxic. But Jung's label is colder and more accurate: differentiated perception. It means you're not imagining it. You're not being dramatic. Your mind is simply processing reality at a finer grain than the room is ready for. Which raises the question, why are you so different from most people? To understand this, you have to look at the Sentinel Hypothesis. In ancient tribes, survival didn't just require people to hunt and gather. It required someone to sit on the perimeter and watch for predators. Most people are built for cohesion. Their brain releases oxytocin when they agree with the group, because for 99% of history, staying with the group meant safety. But you are built for detection. Your brain doesn't get that same chemical reward from fitting in. Instead, you get a dopamine hit from spotting the anomaly. In a kind environment where things are what they seem, you look paranoid. But in a wicked environment where signals are noisy and people pretend to be things they aren't, you aren't paranoid. You are the one whose sensors are actually working. And in the age of artificial intelligence and fake information, your sensors could be more valuable than ever. Yet, if it's so valuable to society, why is this insight so stressful to have? The exhaustion happens because your brain works differently than theirs. Most people operate on surface perception. They see the mask, the smile, the handshake. But you run something closer to far transfer perception. You take a micro-expression, combine it with tone, combine it with timing, and you download the shadow underneath. Resentment, avoidance, guilt, manipulation, grief. Think of it like this. Most people are tourists looking at the ocean. They see blue water. You, on the other hand, are the deep-sea diver. You feel the pressure, the currents, and what's swimming underneath. And that's your daily frustration. You're trying to talk about sharks to people who only see sparkling reflections. Now here's the second mechanism. This is where the burnout comes from. You don't just observe the room, you unconsciously merge with the emotional atmosphere around you. Jung called this participation mystique. This makes you feel drained in social environments, not because you spoke too much, but because your nervous system was doing everyone else's emotional processing for them. You're not just understanding what's going on, you also feel the emotions beneath the surface. Understanding that your judgment is actually a rare insight should give you some relief. But it doesn't solve the crushing problem, the exhaustion, and the fact that people attack you when you tell the truth. You see friends making terrible choices. You warn them gently, and they explode. Why would you say that? No, you are wrong. Sometimes you become the scapegoat. This happens because you're misunderstanding the physics of the shadow mirror. Here is the trap. You cannot force someone to see their own shadow. When you tell someone the truth they aren't ready for, you aren't helping them. You are attacking their ego. Not everyone is ready to accept the truth, especially if it's related to a weakness of theirs. So they almost always choose to attack the mirror. And the mirror is you. This is why being right keeps ruining your relationships. Not because you're wrong, but because you revealed something before they had the capacity to accept it. The people who survive this, the constructive seers, practice what Jung called conscious containment. You have to treat your insight like a dangerous substance, something radioactive. You cannot just dump it on people. So stop acting like a prophet, shouting truth at everyone, and start acting like a guardian. Jung's solution isn't to turn off the vision, it's to build a protocol of gradual revelation. Rule number 1, daily isolation. You need daily isolation, not to hide, but to wring out the sponge. You absorb people's unconscious emotions. Solitude lets you separate what you picked up from what's actually yours. This will give your mind more peace. Rule number 2, give medicine only when asked. When you see a lie or something beneath the surface of others, don't speak, hold it, contain it. Wait for the person to ask for your advice. Because insight is only medicine if the patient asks for it. Otherwise, it's poison. Rule number 3, don't let insight turn into arrogance. This is the biggest trap. It is easy to feel superior when you see things that everyone else misses. You start thinking, I'm the only one who gets it, and you start looking down on people. That isn't wisdom, that is just ego wearing a disguise. And you, of all people, should understand that everyone has different strengths. The moment you feel better than the crowd, you stop seeing the truth for what it is. So here is the fix. Use your X-ray vision on yourself first. Fix your own house before you try to protect anyone else's. And once you master that containment, your role shifts. You stop being the outcast and become something else entirely. There's one final trait that makes you bulletproof. Jung hints at it with the idea of the culture carrier. In nature, the watchman of the flock sits on the high branch, alone. Separated, yes, but he's the only reason the flock survives the wolf. You haven't been alienating people by accident, you've been unconsciously training for the role of watchman. You are the bridge between the lie everyone agrees on and the truth that eventually saves them. So stop apologizing for your heavy energy. That isn't heaviness, it's depth. You were never meant to be the person who makes perfect small talk. You were built to see what others are too afraid to look at. If you're ready to stop being the scapegoat and start being the guardian, drop an eye emoji in the comments so the right people can find each other. And if you want the deeper breakdown on how to decontaminate after being around people, subscribe and check the link in the description.